Greg, there's no good behavior for coaches at the yellow card?
There's not. We are held to a different standard, Damien, I guess. So, no, yeah, rush of blood to the head. I at the moment forgot that I was on too, so it happens. Yeah, an opportunity for Dan to take the group, and for the group is we're far enough into the season, and our preparation and things that we're doing is the group is they'll be self-sufficient through the game, and Dan will be there to assist them and help them where they need to. So it's all good.
Injury updates from you or from Dan, but I saw not to mention Garcia's out here. Where their status at for Saturday or even next Wednesday?
So Emmy's been training all week. He'll be available starting on Saturday and through the week. Marco will be available on the weekend and through the week. Again, keep these guys healthy. Julian should be back into the group. He's been training. All the guys have been training the whole week. So and Nasi has taken more steps. He hasn't done all of the sessions in training, so we'll see where he is come midweek, but he probably won't be ready for the weekend. That's most of it. Lucas has not been out yet and out on the field, so he's a little ways away, and Elijah's back from his situation. So
Lucas had a foot injury?
it was like a knee. It's like a bone bruise, I think they're defining it. He planted when he hit a shot, and his plant leg felt maybe a touch of a hyperextension and maybe a little bit of a bone bruise on that side. I think that's what I understood the issue to be. So, we'll see how he continues to progress here over the next little bit.
And Elijah?
Yeah, Elijah's back. He's been training all week, so it's more personal stuff that he was attending to last week, and he's ready to go. Yep.
Okay. Thanks, Damien. Josh, go ahead.
Hey, Greg. Thanks for talking to us. Appreciate
Hey, Josh.
it.
Yep.
How many games in your career have you had to watch from the sidelines?
As a coach, this is the second. So there was one in Toronto, and it was against Colorado, and it was a home game. And then this would be the second. So not many. I try to keep it that way. I try to maintain my composure when I can.
Does it? I know you were sort of talking about how it probably doesn't change a whole bunch of things, right? Just in terms of what's happening, but just from the coaching staff side of things, do you guys change anything up? Do you do anything differently whenever you know that you're not going to be able to be there?
Well, I think like the pregame and the final words to the team, usually that would fall to me, so we'll have to hand that off to Dan and the team, which is totally good. Other than that, I think the roles inside of it will more or less stay the same in terms of who's dealing with set pieces and all that good stuff. And the guys who are watching the game on the video and can review while they're on the bench and getting the higher view. I don't think too many things will change. Nowadays, also, you're allowed some communication to the bench. You just can't be there in person, so that allows dialogue to happen. So I think in general, it's more of a presence thing is probably as much as anything, and I think the messaging, Dan and myself and the rest of our staff have been together so long, I think the messaging is pretty consistent anyways. So I think I don't think there'll be too much in terms of roles and responsibilities.
And then my final one, just looking at the game, you have the game this weekend against SKC, who also is eliminated, right? So you would think a good chance for perhaps for you guys to pick up points, but you have a balance that you have to have with the midweek and Campeones Cup. How do you balance that? How are you looking at that?
Yeah, we'll so we obviously have a handful of guys, or close to a handful of guys, who are coming back from being on varying lengths of sort of injury or recovery time. So with some of those guys who are ready to go this weekend, we want to get them moving and get them into some of the game time and manage their minutes to have them as ready as possible for Wednesday. So you'll see that with some of the guys. That will include maybe some management of other guys' minutes inside of the game. But I mean, ultimately, I'm never too concerned when you go from like a Saturday to a Wednesday, when you have that it's not the fastest turnaround, if you were to go Wednesday, Saturday, or Saturday, Tuesday. So Our guys usually are pretty good at recovering with that, call it that extra day, and so not too concerned about minutes, but we will have some rotation, and we will be trying to get guys back into the rhythm and flow of things, using this game as a tool for that.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks,
Josh.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Alex.
Hey, Greg. Thank you for your time. I was just looking it up right now. Dan has been your assistant for 448 matches. I'm sure you guys have a lot of confidence within each other. If you could just talk about kind of just maybe your experiences working with him, just your confidence in him as well, because, I mean, that's a pretty long partnership there. A lot of games for sure.
Yeah, and if you've had the games that we played together, we're probably well over 500 together. Yeah, I mean, it's, again, the consistency of just going to work every single day and knowing what our message is and what we're trying to accomplish as a staff, and working with the guys, and also knowing each of the guys and what they're bringing to the equation and to the table. So, Dan, as a guy who's coached for a long time and also was a captain, and he's got a great voice and a great presence inside the group, and so it'll just be his turn to be a little bit louder than me on the day, and have the opportunity to have those final messages and share those final messages to the guys. So I don't think too much will change in terms of the actual messaging itself. I just think the delivery is going to be a slightly different. It's going to be a different person, but somebody they're used to working with every day as well. So I don't think there's too much into that.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you, we were talking to Harbor earlier. I kind of asked him just about how, you go through the academy to the second team as well. You guys seem to have a very similar tactical approach.
Yeah.
Just from what you've seen from the academy in the last couple of years, and younger players like him coming up, just how exciting is it to kind of see that vision come to fruition? He was talking about how just it's maybe a little easier to make those reads, that he's more comfortable with it at this level. Just, I know you've worked a lot over your tenure with the Galaxy and trying to develop that. I mean, what does it mean to kind of see the fruit, come out in that?
Yeah, I'm excited about where we are. When I came here, it's been this is the 5th year. For the first year and a half, I didn't really have a lot of involvement in the academy in terms of our style of play or our philosophy and methodology in terms of the way things were shaping up in the academy. After that, I got, after that year and a half or so, I got a little more involved with the group and sharing sort of our methodology, our style of play, the things that are important, our functions within the positions, our relationships on the field, things that we felt were important with and without the ball, and the process that we wanted the players to go through. At that point, I felt like, for me, it was the 07 age group that was going to be our first sort of generation of players that I thought we're going to have the ability to make the transition from academy into the first team and start to have a real impact into it. And the 07 group are the guys you're seeing. It's the Harbors, it's the Rubens, it's the guys that are having success at the second team level that are making their way. It's the Pepes, it's the Dylans, that's an 07 group that has quite a few guys who, if they continue on their trajectory and path, they do have a chance to make the transition to the next level, and you're already seeing it with a couple guys already. So I'm excited. I think you want the academy to be a kind of a conveyor belt of talent into your first team, and guys who initially will make the transition and play supporting cast roles, and hopefully those guys will continue to grow and play either larger roles or guys maybe who move on and go to Europe or go to somewhere else, and also are a resource to the club for that means. But the reason we think it's so important to have consistency from first team and through the academy is it makes the process and the transition easier. The players are already making a transition into a faster, more intense, everything's a little bit tighter when you're talking about spaces and time and all those things on the field. So if you already are comfortable in your functions, and you're already comfortable in terms of what we're asking, in terms of style of play, roles, in terms of rotations, all those kinds of things, like, they don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. All they have to worry about is adapting to the speed of the game and continuing to be the players that they've been all through the process. So it decreases the amount of variables they have to worry about when they make that big jump. And so I think that's what's helping, Harbor, and it certainly will help and has helped Ruben. And these guys are just really comfortable inside of what we're doing. And now it's just about the intensity, speed, those things that they're going to adapt to anyways. So I look forward to it. I'm excited for them and excited for, the next steps that are to come for them.
Thanks, Greg.
Yep. Yeah, no physical contact with staff or players. I think it's 90 minutes before the game and up through the final whistle and when the referees return to the locker rooms and all that kind of stuff. At which point then I think I'm able to come back down and post-game address the team after everything. Pre-game, I think it's 90 minutes before I have to be away from the group and out of the locker room and away and into my perch or wherever I'm sitting. During the game, I think there is the ability to have some form of communication. I don't know exactly what that looks like, and within the confines of like the game, but separate from everybody else. So I think that's what I'm seeing and understanding in the process. So
a lot of women in the press box.
That's the word.
Scott won't be there.
Yeah, we'll see. I was watching the Leagues Cup, and I felt like Mascherano he had some good communication going on there. So there must be something that's legal. Man, he was, yeah. So anyways, I know it's not Leagues Cup, but I think there is some method here to the communication chain that can be worked out. So we're good.
Alex,
all right.
were you set? Hang on, we've got one more. Rob, go ahead.
Oh, hey, Rob.
Hey, Greg, thank you so much for your time. I do appreciate it. I have two for you, actually. One is on Jay Young's return to the Digs. Obviously, he's scoring 17 goals this year.
Yeah.
And, he's somebody that you know quite well. How do you go ahead and handle his return? And then for the defense, they, like I said, they know him quite well. Is that a plus or something to watch out for?
Well, I think anytime you have relatively intimate knowledge of somebody you're playing against, that's always a positive. The thing about Dayon is he's a goal scorer. He just sniffs out his opportunities. He'll find the pockets in the box. So you always have to be kind of mindful of him. There's times when he'll just be hanging out behind you, and he'll look like he's not really all that involved in the game, and then the next thing you know, he'll pop on side, and then he's making a run that you maybe didn't calculate because you thought he was sort of separate from the game. He's done a nice job of continuing to work, I think, on his link-up play with his teammates. So you also have to be mindful of him after the pass because he'll keep moving and look for the ball back. And so, he's got ways. You don't score 17 goals, 20-something goals if you don't have several methods to get yourself into really good positions. And it's not like Kansas City has been a prolific scoring team or a team that's been running away with it. He's still finding 17 goals inside of that scenario there is pretty telling of his quality as a finisher. So, and the other thing is, he doesn't need much space to put the ball in the back of the net. And so we just need to be mindful of him and make sure that we're communicating his positioning, that we don't get lulled into sleep when he's pretending that he's not really involved in things, and you got to make sure we're communicating at all times. Make it hard on him physically in certain aspects of the game so he doesn't get to just do things easily around the field. That we just need to make sure little bumps here and there that he's not getting a free run around the place and just looking for these little pockets and windows to finish us. But I certainly miss him being here. He was a big part of what we were doing, and a young man who came to the club a lot through our relationships of other third-party relationships, and so I appreciate seeing him continue to have success. I hope he doesn't have it this weekend, but it's been good to see him continue to have success.
And my final one, the Champions Cup schedule dropped today, and unless I'm mistaken, the Galaxy does not have a guy in the round of 16, meaning the first round is played. I see the first round being played that first week, February 3rd to 5th. What does that do to preparations for the season? I mean, it seems like that's pretty early, being that usually the season starts around the end of February.
Yeah, we had been led to kind of believe that would likely be the situation, that we wouldn't get a bye because of our positioning and how we would get in. And so, we've been looking at what does our off-season schedule look like? What does our when we come back? What does that look like? The likelihood that we stay together for a little while in the off-season to shorten the length of the off-season to make sure that when we come back, we're not coming back from loads of weeks off. We come back from something that is mandatory but also respectable. And then when we come back, we've got to make sure we come back and in some ways we hit the ground running, and we have a short window of time before we need to be ready for our first competitive match, which some of that will fall on each of the individual players to do the things that they need to do during the off season, and some of that will obviously be in our plan and preparation as we bring them back. The other part of it is any changes and new players that we get in, we just have to make sure, and we've been talking about this, that we got to get guys in as quickly as we can, because even as you saw last year, there were guys that would show up in the latter part of February or mid-February just because you're trying to work through visa, stuff like that. So these are all factors that we need to be proactive about and have a good plan for, and try to give ourselves the best chance to be prepared for that February 3rd, 4th start. And once you can work backwards, you can start to make some plans and try to get things done proactively, as I said. Good.
All set? Okay.
All right, everybody.
Thank you all so much. Thanks for your time, Greg.
Yep.